Welcome back to Uncovered. Today we have a super special guest. Her name is Justine Mclucas. Hey, Justine, how are you?
Hey, Renee. I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's good. No worries. And so today's episode, it's super special because we are talking about pole camps. Now, some of you guys listening may not know what a pole camp is or may have never experienced a pole camp, especially if you're new to pole in the last 2 or so years. But pole camps have been around for a while, and we wanted to talk about it because it's just such a different way of bringing the community together. And Justine has her own pole camps. She's got 100 years experience in pole in itself.
No. I'm old, but not that old.
No, like mentally experience-wise, like you've just done so. She's just been in the industry for so long. So to start, Justine, do you want to just tell us a little bit about how you got into pole to begin with?
Sure. So I used to be a ballet dancer. That was 100 years ago, I will admit. But I stopped that sort of late teens, early 20s, and then went to uni, got a real job, and then travelled to London, moved over there on a working holiday visa. And I was always going to the gym and stuff, just being a normal person without the dancing. And there was a gym called Gym Box, which had all the really cool, funky kids sort of classes and things like that. And they had pole dancing. And a friend of mine wanted to take me there. So I went to that, and it was run by Eleanor Gibson, who was the first world pole sports champion, or Miss Pole Dance World. And she used to be a ballerina as well. So I think just the way she moved and everything was very similar, and I could kind of relate. So I just really fell in love with it and ended up teaching for her that year. I think it was about, I can't even remember when I started. That's how you know you're old, when you can't remember what you started.
My next question was going to be like, what year was this?
2007 maybe. It could have been 2006, could have been 2007. Yeah. Around that time sometime. So I started teaching, and then just, left my day job and decided to start my own studio in London, which, was there for like 10 years. So that's how I got into it.
Wow. So pole was still very like underground at that point, or was it a little bit different in the UK?
No, I think it was similar. Like, I think you had people like Jamila and Felix, Susie Q and Amber Ray, and those types of people were all popping up around that time, maybe even a little bit before, especially Jamila and Bobby, obviously, the legend. Yeah. Yes. And I was sort of that second wave in 2007, I think, where I started. But it was a lot smaller. The world was a lot smaller, the pole world. So I did kind of know everyone. You kind of get to know everyone really well. I think now there's so many people, like people throw out names now at me and I'm like, I have no idea who that is. And it's all on Instagram now.
I know, there's so many more people.
Yeah, we didn't have Instagram to show everyone what everything is and learn all the moves. So I think you move a lot slower. You moved a lot slower then because, there wasn't a new move on Instagram every 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, we always talk about in the podcast, like, it used to be like a jade split or something like that would win you a competition, and everyone's like,
Absolutely.
wow. And now it's just like, that's kind of like, oh, whatever, it's just a jade split.
And 50
like, what are you going
poles.
to do?
We learned I learned on 50 mil poles. All my competitions at the start were all on 50 mil poles.
Oh, gosh. Competitions, I guess if 50 mil poles is all you were training on, it would make sense that competitions would only have 50 mil poles too.
Yeah.
Were they stainless, or was brass around then as well?
So brass is a real Australian thing, and being in London, it was all chrome and mainly chrome. Don't even think it was stainless, so a bit slippier, but we've got different climate over there, so I don't think that. And when you don't know, like once I got onto a 40 mil pole, I was like, oh, doing a Phoenix on this is so much easier. Like, imagine doing Phoenix on a 50. That's what I was used to having to do, but you just do it when it's the only thing you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think, did you start on a 50 as well?
I didn't, no. I was 45 chrome though. It was definitely chrome, which was
chrome.
So
good old chrome.
when I came across to a brass, I was like, grip? What grip? I don't need this like dry hands anymore. I'm like, because I had trained on chrome, it was like, it was amazing.
I mainly am on brass now, and then whenever there's like a chrome or stainless steel, I always go over to it because I'm like, oh, my skin needs a break, and I always think of you, Justine. I'm just like, oh no,
the stainless.
Yeah, it's just a little bit nicer on the skin for sure.
Yeah.
So were there any pole camps back then?
Yeah, so the first pole camp that I ever knew about was the one in St. Martin in the Caribbean, which was run by the lady who owns Pole Dance Milan, or used to own it. I don't know if she still does. Sorry if you don't own it anymore. But yeah, so she ran that for a couple of years. I don't think it might still be running, but basically I think it was one of the first year or two that it was running that I went to that, way back in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, and the teachers that were at that one were Alethea Austin and Amber Ray.
Oh, yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah, because Amber was doing a bit of a secondment over at Pole Dance Milan in Italy.
Yeah.
And so she got brought over for that, and they brought Alethea down as well. And at that time, they were like two of my idols. So, went over there, and it was amazing. I just loved it. Like, I've always wanted to do something that had something to do with travel. I've always loved studying other cultures. I did a anthropology degree, anthropology and Asian studies. So I've always loved other cultures and traveling always. I mean, I grew up in Singapore when I was a little baby. So just being able to go and travel and do pole at the same time just seemed like the perfect marriage of all my favorite things. So when I was over there, I actually met Hanka Vansala for the first time. She was there. She was there as a student as well.
Wow.
So, we've known each other since then, and we kind of hung out, and then we've, traveled to and from to visit each other in different countries. And that's kind of, I feel like what happens with pole camps. You meet these people from all over the place, and then you end up striking up a friendship, and you travel around and go to their studio, and then they come to your studio. It's awesome. Yeah. And that inspired me to start my own pole camps. That camp.
So did you own your studio? Had you already set up your studio by the time you went to the pole camp?
Yeah, I just set it up. So I set up my pole studio in January 2010. And then I signed up to go on the pole camp, which I think was in July or August that same year.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think I set up, someone approached me about running a pole camp in Barcelona in partnership with their studio. Yeah, the following year. And I think we did our first one end of 2011.
Wow, so you've been running pole camp since 2011.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. When was the first one?
So wow, I did not know that.
Almost 100 years, just as Renee said.
Almost 100 years. That's great. Who were the instructors at your first ever pole camp that you hosted?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Can I even remember?
Threw your curveball.
Well, she's had like so many pole camps.
I've had so many pole camps, but I can remember because it was Shimmy.
Oh, yes.
So it's easy to remember. It was Shimmy. Who else? And Josh Taylor, who was a teacher at my studio in London, and me. And I think it was just the three of us. But at that point, I was a very small company and didn't have very much money. So we stayed at my friend who was a yoga teacher in Barcelona. She helped out as well. So she taught some yoga classes. We stayed at her apartment, and I'm pretty sure Josh stayed on the couch. We don't do that now. If any instructors are there and I approach you about coming to guest at my...
you will not be sleeping on a couch.
You won't be sleeping on a couch. I always get nice apartments or hotels now.
Yeah, but I guess it's good to show like what it was like back then, and that, people do it, even the instructors, for the love of it. Yeah. And like you said, your dream was to travel and do pole. I would definitely, if I was being approached to go overseas, and I'd be like, I'll sleep on a couch, I'll sleep in a tent. I'll sleep in a tent. Like, I'll bring my own tent and sleep out the back. It's fine.
Well,
like,
that's what it was like. And that's what I think you do, like when you're starting out as well, especially with anything. Yeah. Like I used to, go and do gigs for amounts that I wouldn't probably want to wake up for anymore. Go and do a 10-minute set at like 3 a.m. in the morning at this club, and we'll give you some food and a cab ride. Yeah. And I'll be like,
that's where you got to start your hustle. Yeah. It's like, I'll get some photos out of this and I'll get this. But when you're starting out, you're just like, how do I get myself into this scene? And I guess it was like that trying to get a pole camp running. It's like,
Yeah,
how do I
exactly the
just
same sort
get
of
this
thing.
started?
Yeah, definitely. So I started Barcelona in 2011, and I think we did that for 3 years in a row. And I did loads of them. Like I've had, who have I had? Nadia. I've had Amber. Amber's come to a lot of my things. We've stayed friends ever since St. Martin. So, I've had Hunter.
So good.
Obviously, we met in the first one. So all these people that you meet, and I've kind of brought them over. I've done camps in Majorca as well, and Poland. When I used to have a studio in Poland, I did an Easter camp there, and we ran some in Singapore. Just all the instructors. Like, it's just been a great way to kind of get to know the instructors better, and then bring people together. That's the main thing. That's why I love it. You just bring people from all over the place. It's like your studio, but on steroids. Like that community feel that you get from hanging out with the girls every week, or girls and boys. Whoever you're hanging out with every week, and you've got that camaraderie kind of thing. When you go to a pole camp, it's like that, but just bigger, because you've got all these people from all these, amazing places, and maybe you don't know what their pole style is like there. Like, Australia's pole style is quite different to pole style in Europe. So when you get them all together, everyone kind of, shares and feeds off each other, and you learn new things from the different instructors from different parts of the world, strike up all these friendships. It's really cool.
I even found we ran a Brisbane pole jam for instructors in Brisbane or southeast Queensland, and even just bringing a small group, and we're all from a local area together, like still different styles, still different ways of teaching. It was really, really fun to see the variation in such a small community in comparison to something on a worldwide level. Yeah. But I remember you keep your pole camps pretty intimate these days, don't you? Like smaller numbers?
Yeah. Well, I've always sort of done that. I make it sort of a really small thing, so you can just, like you would have in your normal class, maybe, I don't know, 10 to 15 students, depending on how many poles you've got, kind of thing. And maybe just a couple of groups, 2 or 3 groups for the whole camp, because I don't want to have it's a very different feel what I think a pole camp or a pole retreat, as I like to think of it. When you think of a yoga retreat, you kind of go there and it's a small group and everyone gets to know each other really well. It's very different to like a conference or a pole expo. If you've ever been to pole expo,
I've been to expo people, and it is freaking I don't remember making a friend at that one, because it's just way too many people, and it's trying to
and people come with their own friends and their own groups.
Yeah, so
they had and they had competitions represent your studio, and so people were really just sort of sticking together. They had a lot of events that you would go to, but you still go to those things and you'd be like, oh, you're a pole dancer, but I don't think it's the same.
Yeah, well, I've done a few of those types of things, like the one pole convention in Florida, and Pole Expo or whatever it's called in Vegas. And I know there's a Pole Expo that used to run in Australia as well. And I think it's just got a real different kind of mission of what it's trying to achieve. It's more about bringing hundreds of people together and fitting as many classes as you possibly can in. You do 9 classes each day over a weekend. And then go to the events, like you said, and the comps and all that sort of stuff. Really different to kind of what I want to do. I want everyone to actually have a holiday and chill out. And, especially if you're traveling to a different country or a different state or somewhere that you've never been before, you want to have time to go and actually see the things in that city, because that's the other part. Like I was saying to you, I like the traveling and the culture bits of everything as well. I don't want it to just be about pole. When you go to those pole expos and things, it is just about pole. It's not about the city you're in, and it's not about,
So true.
Yeah. Maybe.
And I think what we wanted to highlight in this episode as well is the different structures of some pole camps, because I have been to one that's set up. It's intimate, but more like an expo where you just choose your class passes and then you choose which classes to go to, which was great for flexibility in a way. And then, you could do as many as you wanted, but you weren't necessarily in groups. You would see some people, not others. They did have intermediate, advanced and sort of professional groups. But you just buy your passes and then you decide what to do. Whereas I feel like your ones are very, you with your group, and then there's also lots of events where the whole group, like all three groups are together as well. And it just, like you said, it creates that environment of like support and meeting new people and also having some time off to go see the city. Do you like, when you do your timetabling, do you try and specifically make sure that there are gaps for that reason?
Absolutely. So I've got this tried and tested kind of timetable spreadsheet that I start with, which I've worked out since Barcelona. So it's pretty much a similar structure. So 12 hours of pole over 5 days I found works really well. We've done one where we've done it a little bit less and crammed it in more. And I've done one where it used to be 7 days. But what I worked out is the best one after a few years was 5 days, 12 hours. It works out about 2 to 3 hours per day for each group. And I find that's enough that people don't get so sore that they can't finish the week. Because what I find with a lot of the things, if you book 9 hours of classes a day over 3 days, there is absolutely no way you can physically actually get anything out of your last day of classes. Like it's, you know, and then you write notes and things and it's not the same. Then you're just paying, you know, hundreds of dollars to not really do it. You could just look them up on Instagram. You know,
that's true.
Yeah, so I want people to actually
That was me on pole cruise with a broken wrist.
Yes.
I was like, that was me on pole cruise.
Pole cruise, that's another one that I've done as well. Yeah. I've been on pole cruise. But that was cool.
Literally,
that was
it was a lot of fun, and just being on a cruise was really good. But breaking your wrist 2 weeks before you have to go.
No,
was not.
You don't have a good track record.
No, I do not have.
Just Vegas as well.
Vegas, I broke my rib cartilage.
No.
Oh no! I've got to April to stay safe.
Yeah, well, you've already done your bit. You haven't been feeling too well, have you, Steph, the last week? And now that
you can definitely hear that in my voice.
Just don't do anything in March. Just put some put some cotton wool around you in March.
Bubble wrap.
So for context for our listeners, Justine had a camp coming up in
February.
2 weeks,
a couple
3
weeks, February. Yeah.
Which we were all extremely excited about.
Renee and I are both attending.
Yes.
Just for more context.
Yes. And it's on the Gold Coast in Australia. So, and normally your camps have, like you sort of basing them in Phuket. You were planning to continue? I know you said you've done some in Barcelona and stuff. Were you just continuing to just do Phuket, or were you going to go to Australia anyway to run camps?
Ever since I moved back to Australia in the start of 2016, I did sort of have it in the back of my mind, one day I'll start setting up some pole camps on the Gold Coast because that would be awesome because it's, you know, a great place with sun, surf, all these attractions and things. Yeah. So, you know, it's a place to actually be able to do it the way I like doing it, with that whole having some touristy stuff, having some culture stuff you can do, great hotels, things like that, things to do. So always wanted to, but it's just finding the time. I'm sure the studio owner too, Steph, you know, finding the time to do all these plans. But Thailand was my ultimate, which I do with a business partner, Jenny Libet, who she owns a studio in Luxembourg, and then she moved to Phuket. I can't remember, quite a few years ago, 2014 or something. She moved to Phuket. She has my ideal dream life, that girl. You know, living and teaching pole in Phuket, and Thailand's like my favorite country in the world. So it's why I did Thai as my other major at uni. So when she sort of wanted to do a pole camp there, I was like, yes, that's where I want to do it forever. So I will forever do the ones in Phuket, always. But I wanted to do Australia in addition. So it will be now both. Yeah. So getting close to running my dream, which is having one here and one in Thailand. But obviously for the last 2 years, I haven't been able to go to Thailand. I feel like a part of me is missing. Having to postpone it is awful. I know, right? Yeah. But now, with this sort of COVID outbreak at the moment, I just wanted to postpone the one in the Gold Coast just a little bit to make sure that everyone can come safely. You know, there's no point running it and only 4 people can turn up because everyone's in isolation. So just don't want that to happen. And I don't want
new one's in April.
Yeah.
Do you have dates yet for that?
Yeah.
Or not yet?
Yeah. So I started running an instructor camp as well. So I started that in Thailand a few years ago, and that works really well. I have the instructor camp the week before where they can do all 3 levels of my Ecole Pole accredited certification course. And the same thing, like you study, you've got your holiday. It's a really relaxing place to do it all, rather than being all stressed trying to study and do stuff at home or wherever you might be in between everything else.
Work
really nice.
full time.
Exactly, and try and do
between
all
your between your normal life. Yeah.
Yeah. So it works really well just to go over there and kind of knock it out in one go over 5 days. So run that first. And then a lot of people stay and do the second one with the guest instructors on the second week. So I've got the instructor one running 11th to the 15th of April, and the 15th is Good Friday. So there's 1 day of public holiday there. And then the workshops retreat, which I've got Miss Philly, Chili Rocks, Bailey Hart and Shell Hafner all coming, will be Easter Saturday through till the following Wednesday. So the 16th to the 20th of April.
I know, I'm so excited.
And is there spots left?
There are.
So I guess with the
yes, there are spots.
So if people do want to come, we will get all the details and stuff
That
later,
will be
and
in the show notes.
and we will link it in.
Cool.
We will be there, so you guys can come hang out with us and come hang out with Justine.
Renee's actually done one of my my Phuket retreats before. Yeah. Was it the year before last? No, before the last one.
It was
so 2019 or 2018.
No, it was the last one, wasn't it? It was the last one that before it stopped.
Before COVID. Yeah, so it would have been 2019. December 2019.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah. And I went. That was also technically my first time like going overseas solo as well. So it was like, obviously there was all the girls there, and I knew you pretty well because from, teaching here as well. So I was a bit nervous to start with, but it was really great to like have my first overseas experience solo crossed with this pole camp. And I just met I think I only knew of like 1 or 2 other girls that were from like the Gold Coast, but no one else I knew. And like you said earlier, I just met people, and there's one girl that I met that's from Spain that I still keep in touch with. And I just felt like I really connected with her. And I'm just like, this is great, because I think if I went with someone, I wouldn't have had the same experience as well. So it was good going on my own and being in an absolute beautiful country. My only regret is that I just didn't stay for another week afterwards, that I decided to just do the resort, camp and come back.
That resort that we use in Phuket, it's actually owned by Masha, who is a polar and goes to, it's her father's resort. So we're very lucky to be able to use that. And obviously she's a polar, so she really loves having us there as well. She poles at Jenny's.
Everyone's amazing.
Yeah, everyone's a polar there. So everyone's, wants to really bring that pole camp every year to that place. It's just beautiful. You just don't want to leave that resort. It's gorgeous.
No, and I was definitely like, I'm definitely going to go back. And then all this COVID stuff obviously happened. Yeah. But then I was really excited when you opened up the one here, because I was like, yes, this is great. Obviously we know a lot more people locally probably. But it's just, I've been going to pole camps. I can't remember what my first one was. I think it was the, Pole Festival.
Yeah, my first one was Pole Festival.
Sam ran, and that was at the Gold Coast. I went to 2 or 3 of those, and I've done the cruise one as well. And I've done the summer pole camp in Sydney. So yeah, I actually have done probably like 6 or 7 camps, and it's just great. It is, like you said, like a little intensive weekend where you get to meet new people. Don't have to worry about working in between. For me, like, I don't get to be a student very often anymore. So it's really nice to be in those shoes as well, and just learn from people that you wouldn't be able to learn from normally. And in person, like, I know there's a lot of online stuff because of COVID, which is great. And a lot of people are learning from everyone online, but it's you just can't beat the in-person learning as well.
Experience. And being able to watch, I think with in-person, you can watch other people trying to attempt the same tricks. So you can learn from other people's failures and wins as well. So I think that the in-person stuff is definitely really important. But, I've done Pole Fest and Pole Expo and Pole Cruise. And I used to go to Pole Fest on my own. That was really daunting, because I was like, really?
Oh, did you? I was probably there.
Yeah, you funded me in one class.
I taught at one of them. Were you there when I was teaching?
No, I think I did 2 years. I think it was like 2014 and 15.
Okay, maybe. I think I was 2016. I taught.
Yeah, so it would have been.
I would have done that. I think I did like 3.
Yeah, no, they're a lot of fun, and I find like the network, like the biggest like theme I hear out of this, and my business brain goes to like networking. Like you have the opportunity to meet new people, and even networking from a friendship perspective. Yeah. But it's all that type of just bringing people together and connecting.
Absolutely.
Which I think is amazing.
Way back in my first one, I had a girl who came from Israel to do the camp, and then she loved it so much she came back the next year, and she brought one of her good friends with her, which is some people might know her on Instagram as Gal B Pole. We hit it off really, really well when she came over. So then I brought her back to teach twerk on the next camp, and I pretty much had her teach twerk at every camp in every country that I've had one, and I visited her in Tel Aviv. She's come and stayed with me in London. We've travelled all over the place, not even just for pole stuff. She's ended up being my best friend. That's, the kind of thing that happens at pole camp, and the networking as well. So it starts off as a business thing. Yeah, it's crazy.
So sweet.
Yeah.
So if people how can people, obviously, if they're not in Australia, because we're obviously pretty limited, do you have any international travellers coming to the pole camp?
One girl, from South Korea. She's pretty adamant that she's going to be fine. I was thinking that for February she might be a bit, or maybe not, but I think we're going to hit 90% next week. So I think she actually would have been fine, because you can come in to Australia at the end of next week, the 90% vaccination thing. So you can get into Queensland at the end of next week. So, I think you just have to be double vaccinated.
That's impressive.
So I think we'll be open for business to overseas people. So if anyone international is listening, come to the Gold Coast. In April.
Yeah, why not?
For Easter.
Yeah, your first holiday COVID.
And people are starting to travel again now. I think people are feeling better about it. And I know that I have a few friends overseas, and some other countries are a little bit ahead of us in terms of, how they've sort of worked with COVID and how they're living with COVID now as well. So I think that this will probably be the last year that people might be a bit hesitant. And then hopefully everything will not go back to a new normal, and we can, start doing more of that.
By the end of this year, we'll all would have had Omicron. Hopefully there's no worse a variant, and then we'll all be good because we'll have some immunity. Guys, I don't understand the science behind it, but I'm just throwing that out there, all with good hope. So, how can people, if they can't come to Australia at the moment, how would you recommend people find pole camps?
Yeah, so I would be searching Google or, your Facebook groups that you normally go to for pole stuff, and looking for recommendations for one that you want to go to in a country maybe you want to travel to. So if you wanted to go do one in Ibiza, because I know there's a pole camp in Ibiza, go on to your Facebook group and maybe ask for some recommendations, or just search the net. But definitely find some recommendations and reviews from people that have gone before you go and book. Just to see, because everyone has a different mission. Mine are really different, like I've said, to Pole Expo. If that's what you're after, if you want to do all events and just run around pole stuff for 9 hours a day, then mine's not going to do that for you. Mine's more about having a cultural holiday as well as having time to meet people, maybe party a little bit. That's what mine's kind of.
We did that in Thailand. There's a club that has a pole, and I was just like, I'm all poled out already. But then the girls are just like, boom, straight on there.
On the last night of my retreats, we always have a bit of a farewell party with drinks and cocktails somewhere. And in Phuket, there's a 5-meter pole in one of the streets, because there's a lot of, pole dancing and dancers and podium dancers and stuff on those streets and the nightclubs and stuff. So we actually go there. So good. We know all the locals, obviously, because we've got Jenny and Masha there. So we know all the locals, and they let us have the pole. I don't know if you were there, but I'm pretty sure one of the instructors that year didn't have any underwear on, but they still went on the pole. Yeah. I won't say who, because we want to maintain her privacy.
I do remember that. It was pretty wild. It got really wild. I remember
pretty wild,
my roommate, we had to carry her back, and she spent the night by the toilet, and it was one of those things though that you're. No. It was purely
when they're out of events, they're not your.
I like how you do it. It's the end of it, so it's kind of okay, the pole retreat is finished. We're going out. This is our little official dinner or whatever we sort of do there, and then you can choose what you do after that. And then from there, obviously, some people continue on and travel for a week. But I think it was a really nice way of saying, okay, well, we're all done. Nobody has to pole tomorrow. You can decide if you want to just chill out or you can go out. And I think from there, it was like, it was definitely an experience that I'll never forget, because I'm in this like foreign country with most people that I really don't know at all. Like, I think I knew you best out of everyone just because of, that you've been here in the studios. And yeah, but I just was like, this is so cool. Like, I really enjoyed it. And then, we had the next day or whatever, and then everyone sort of going on their ways. I know some people just decided to then meet up and travel together when they hadn't planned that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I travelled with really people I've met. The next year we went off to different islands the following year after I met them on the camp. The first year they wanted to come back the second year, so we organised to go on a holiday off to a few different islands straight after. So that was great too. But it's that same structure actually that I use that works really well. Like you were saying, having that farewell at the end. Like at the beginning, we basically have a dinner to have a meet or a meet and greet kind of canapes thing, so that everyone can meet everyone. So you don't kind of like take 3 days to meet everyone in your camp. You meet everyone on the first night. Everyone gets to know everyone. Usually organise like a beach trip or something so that everyone can go and have some fun together. And I've structured those into the timetable, and I use that as a base for my timetable for every camp. So it'll be the same in the Gold Coast, which I'm sort of having a meet and greet on the first night where everyone will get to know each other. We'll make sure we've got a beach thing. We usually have a photo shoot with like a really good photographer. So we've got the lovely Jade Piper is going to do photo shoots this time.
Yay!
She's amazing.
So those poles will be outside overlooking the river, can have a really beautiful outdoor pole shoot. If you've not done one before, they're really fun. Get some really good, pole photos for Instagram. That's the thing that you do.
Got to get that gram content.
Yeah. And then we'll have a farewell. We'll have a bit of a farewell party on the last night again, as you said, like to bring it all together and everyone can, have a bit of a cry and say goodbye to their new friends and stuff. But I think here it'll be a bit different because, everyone will be more local. But, one girl from South Korea.
I lost it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, my question, that was my question. When are you hoping, or if everything goes well, when are you hoping to bring back Thailand
this December,
retreats?
Hopefully. Yeah, because everyone's travelling already all around Europe and America and everything. So Australia's just a bit tighter with the borders, as we know. And we don't want anyone to follow in Novak's footsteps. I can't get you a court case to try and get in the country, so but no, you can definitely come here after next week, but you have to be vaccinated, so for the moment. But definitely we can travel more, I think, towards the end of the year. I won't confirm yet about Phuket until maybe mid-June, July kind of time, once we've sort of seen where we're going. But I think this year will be the year that it comes back.
Awesome.
Hope so.
Hopefully flights will stay really cheap. There's all the domestic flights are pretty cheap at the moment.
Russ, you got Thailand. We were just talking about holidays actually. So I was trying to convince him on our next one. I'm like, where are we going next?
I'm sick of being just in this room because I live in a 1-bedroom flat at the moment and I work from home now to try and stay away from COVID. I've taught so many classes in my living room with my pole here. So I'd really like to. I'm just happy to go to the Gold Coast in April just to get out of this house. But I really can't wait to get on a plane and go somewhere else to see something different.
It's going to be great weather in April too. It's not going to be too hot. It's not going to be too
I looked
cold.
At that because I'm not originally from Queensland,
weather.
so I wasn't sure. But I checked the weather and I was like, okay, it's not going to be like Melbourne where it would be raining the whole time. So
yes,
no offense to anyone in Melbourne.
With the pole camps, for someone that is attending or wanting to attend, how would you suggest they prepare? If there's anything that they need to do to prepare, or they can rock up, should people start training before the pole camps? What?
I need to start training.
This is for Steph.
Well, I usually split it into 3 groups for the main workshops retreat, and have kind of like a lower level, intermediate kind of group. Then an advanced, a solid advanced group, and then the kind of upper advanced professional group, because we sometimes get people like you, Renee, that like to come throw you in. I've even had Hunker come and do one of my retreats, actually, not as a teacher, but as a student. So I was like, what on earth are we going to do with you? Like, I have people
there's always so much to learn.
There is. That's the thing. Like, there's always something to learn. I'll pop into some of the classes sometimes as well, which is always fun. I loved it when I had Heidi there. That was amazing. Popped into all of her classes because, you just don't get to learn from these people that often. So, yeah, there are instructors that come from all over the place so that you can learn from a whole bunch of different people from all over the world. So, yeah, I split everyone into different levels so that you're with people of the same similar skill level. That way you get the most out of it. You're not sort of like popping into workshops and going, oh, I can't do that. You don't get so much out of it. You'll be with the same level of people.
Yeah.
So you don't need to worry about your training too much. Just keep going with what you're doing. You don't need to stress because you'll be put in the level that's right for you.
That's good.
I have a little questionnaire if anyone's not sure, like if they're not sure if they're intermediate or advanced or where they might fit on the scale. I've got a little questionnaire, list of moves that they can fill in. And it's not about picking whether you're intermediate, advanced or pro. It's more about me going, right, I've got all these people and they're all of a similar level, so I'll put them in the same group. So if I had 30 competitive pole dancers that come, I'll just have to split the competitive group into two groups kind of thing. So, yeah, it just depends how many people from that kind of level. So they don't need to stress about that. But what I do suggest they do is kind of, if they want to do private lessons, maybe have a real good look at the instructors and what they're good at and what you might want to learn from them so that you get the most out of those private lessons. It's always good to, research what your instructors are best at or what their expertise is. And I do a welcome pack, a really thorough welcome pack for all my participants. So have a really good read of that as well, because that's where I get to do my travel guide, Justine, as well as the pole bit. So I do I give lots of information. Yeah, so I give lots of information on local things to go and see and do and restaurants to go to and little tips and things to do, little maps of, how to get around. For the Thailand one, I give you a little list of some language tips and things like that as well. So, yeah, have a good read of that.
So it's pretty good. So people just pretty much need to bring themselves all their clothes and whatnot, and I guess their grips if they want it.
And we need heels.
And
that would be optional. So it depends on who the instructors are, and also whether you like wearing heels. Yeah. I generally don't bother taking my heels anymore because I just don't bother dancing in heels that often. But I know if I wanted to jump into Philly's dance pop class, that I would probably want to have my heels. So I'll probably take them this time just in case I decide to pop into her class. Or Chili's class. I feel like I can't do Chili's chair dance without heels on. But you can. It's totally up to you. So that's up to you. Bring all the normal stuff that you would bring on a holiday. I've got a checklist in the welcome pack as well this year of all the things that you need to bring. So you shouldn't forget anything. But just be ready to have fun and not take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think setting expectations based on my experience of pole camps is you might not be able to achieve everything. Yeah. And it's about being in that moment and enjoying the experience you are having. And
exactly.
I've been to a pole camp with a broken wrist. You can still have a really good time and you can still learn a lot in that process. And I still have videos from my first ever pole camp of things that I was I'll go back and look at one day. So yeah, after your pole camp, set some time to go back and revisit some of these things, because if your body's not used to training that much, you might need to take it a little bit easier and you might need the rest. So take as many notes as you can. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you haven't been to a pole camp before, guys, you need to get on it.
Yeah, definitely. And I've, in the Thailand one, we always have a package, a spa package, so that they get a massage, and a whole bunch of other little things, during that week. So it's really good to schedule your massage in, sort of midweek maybe, so that halfway through you can kind of, relax the muscles. And this time we've organised...
Not before you pole.
Not before you pole.
Yeah, I was going to say, to this day, that Thailand massage has been one of the best massages I've ever had. I always remember it. And I don't know whether, because I was on holidays and I've been polling and I was just so relaxed, and she was just amazing. It was just so incredible.
It's in the middle of the jungle, isn't it? You feel like you walk down into the little spa room and it's this beautiful 5-star.
Is there a spa thing in the Gold Coast one?
So there's not a spa thing, but I have organised for a pole physio to be available to do sports massage. So it's not part of it this time, but if you need it, so that I wanted to have that available because I know having those massages halfway through or towards the end of the week really helps everyone when they're on pole camp. So I wanted to have that available for people. So Phoebe Armfield, who's owner of Rockfit on the Gold Coast, she's a pole physio. Well, she's a physio, so and a pole dancer, so she will know how to fix all your aches and pains. So she can come and visit the hotel if you've got a room in the hotel or wherever you might be staying. You don't have to stay in the hotel that we're actually using for the studio. You can stay anywhere nearby. So do some research about where maybe you want to stay. Airbnb, that kind of stuff is always a good option as well. And Phoebe can come and give you a massage as well.
And back on the accommodation note, there is so much accommodation for those of you who might be thinking about it. Like there is so much accommodation in that area on the Gold Coast from a variety of budget levels. So don't stress if that is a concern for you. But I
you
totally
don't have
think
to stay at the hotel, like at that particular hotel. You can just catch the what's it called, the tram. Or the monorail, call it a tram. Okay, so the tram, monorail's more.
I think it's called a light rail. Light rail. On the Gold Coast.
That's light rail from wherever you're staying, just straight up, and it's pretty much like a 3-minute walk. The station on Cavill Avenue, just up to the Vibe Hotel, where all the classes will be. And you can just pop in for your classes each day for a couple of hours. You can go into the pool, that sort of stuff, do the events, check out whatever else, catch up with everyone else, and then 9-minute walk down to the beach. Go and stay wherever you like. Like it doesn't need to be at the hotel, whatever your budget is as well. Like I do that in Thailand too. So we've always got packages that don't include accommodation in case people want to, maybe they want to do something budget. They want to stay at a backpackers, or maybe they have friends, that maybe have a holiday villa there or something. There's always those options. So I don't want to limit people in staying at the actual resort or hotel.
Yeah. And it makes it more accessible to people. To be able to attend. So I'm really excited. I haven't been to a pole camp for a while now, so I'm glad there's one so locally.
It was getting so close. It was right round the corner and then it just got taken away from us.
I know.
But it's almost here. Just count down. 12 weeks.
That's all good. Good things take time.
12 weeks. Okay, I've got time.
12 weeks.
I'll be back training hopefully next week.
Patience is a virtue. Yeah, this is good for you, actually.
Yeah, this is very good. December was just such a busy month. It happens. It gets away.
Yeah.
I've done barely anything but walk, so
me too. I'll be the same. But I'm mainly teaching stretch classes, which I'm going to try and do. Well, actually, it won't be too hot, so in April. So I think I'll actually try and do the stretch classes outside. We've got like a patio area which we're allowed to use. Which the photo shoots will be on as well. But outside next to the studio. So overlooking the river, it won't be too hot, so we can do all our stretching outside. It'll be nice.
So good.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So if people want to find out more information about pole camp, your Easter pole camp, or if they want to stay up to date about your Thailand one, where can they find you and information about your pole camp?
Yeah. So the website is ecoledepole.com.au. So the easiest way to remember how to spell that is think that you're Spanish and call it Ecole de Pole. That always is what Lizette
I actually, when I was typing that in, I was actually doing that. I was like...
Yeah, so Lizette always calls it that with her beautiful accent that she has. Ecole de Pole, she says. So, so it's ECOLEDEPOLE. Which means School of Pole in French for anyone who didn't know.
Beautiful.
It's not Spanish, so that has nothing to do with it. It's just an easy way to remember how to spell it. But .com.au, and there's a pole camps tab, and you can check out all the details of all of those pole camps or subscribe to the
and your
newsletter.
Instructor Pole Camp information is on there as well for those who are considering doing their instructor training.
Yeah, they're all on there as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Justine, and uncovering all things pole camps.
Thanks for having me.
We did have somebody reach out or a couple of people reach out after we did a pole training uncovered episode where we talked about all the different ways you can train. So that's where we were like, we need to get Justine on to talk about pole camps. So,
pole camps are the best. If I could just run pole camps all the time and just feel like I was on holiday for my whole life.
All the time.
Yeah, it's like
that
one
would
a
be
month
ideal.
in different countries.
Oh my God, I would absolutely love that. That is my dream.
Follow Summer. You could just follow Summer everywhere.
Yeah.
So
That would be, I also think that would be Renee's dream.
Yeah, definitely.
So thanks for listening today, guys. If you will be talking about pole camps all this week on Instagram, so come chat with us and we'll share all of Justine's information there. Pole camp is only 12 weeks away, so come hang out with us on the Gold Coast. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.